Hey there, how are you, Daniel?
I'm doing well. How are you, Sonia?
I'm pretty good. I was hoping we could talk a little bit about the application process to our online Masters of Accountancy program. And since you're the guy at the grad school, you're the best person to ask the kind of questions that we regularly get. Does that sound good?
Absolutely, of
O-
course.
Okay. Before we start, let's get us introduced real quick. So, who are you?
All right. So yeah, my name is Daniel Little. I'm an admissions specialist at the UNR Graduate School. I also help with progression. So I help people get into the program, and I help people graduate through the program. So I'm there every step of the way, from application to graduation.
Yes, my name is Sonia Pippin. I'm the professor of accounting in the accounting department at UNR. I'm also the director of the master's programs, both of them the online and the on-ground program. And just for an FYI, Daniel knows everything about all the forms you ever have to file at grad school, as far as I know. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about that admission process. It seems always students are a little bit, it seems a little bit daunting to students when they apply because there's all these things that you need to consider and deadlines and stuff like that. So let's go right in there. Um, just real quick, for this particular recording, we're going to talk mostly about the online Master of Accountancy program, but maybe at the end we can kind of look into some other programs as well, see if there's any differences there. Does that sound good?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's go ahead. So, who can apply to these programs? And
Ah,
so are there like some rules people that can't or cannot apply?
yes. So anyone can apply. So there's a few requirements. So one of the main requirements is having an regionally accredited bachelor's degree. So it can be in any degree under the sun, so long as it's bachelor's and regionally accredited. So it can be, a bachelor's in political science. It could be a bachelor's in nursing, biology. And if you're interested in accounting, then this is the perfect space for you. So there are also, different credentials. There's, GPA requirements.
Mhm.
There's a 2.75 minimum cumulative GPA, and that is across all of your undergraduate career. So that's something that is very important. Is that due to our accreditation, we require a full enrollment history. So we will need everything taken. If you had if you took a couple courses at a community college, one summer or whatnot, we will need those as well. So
And
that's
and those count for the GPA as well, right?
correct, correct.
Yeah.
So those will count for the GPA. Yeah, we need everything under the sun, and then we do a credential evaluation, and kind of get the average of the total, and provide that to the department. So there are special rules for international students. So international students in online programs need to. It's a little tricky, but in our program, since this is an online admissions, it's a little different than on ground in-person admissions. So international students generally would have to apply as a domestic student, and then we will just kind of go through the process as usual. So with this program, since it is online, there's no visa that are
Okay.
provided.
Mhm.
So it's assumed that the individual either has permanent residence status in the United States or is a citizen of a different country, where they would go through an approval process in the university to make sure, like, there's no sanctions,
Yeah.
there's no embargoes on specific communities and whatnot. So kind of going on, when can I apply? Are there early admissions? Yes. So this program has rolling admissions. So fall, spring, and summer. You can apply pretty much at any time. At any moment, there is usually a semester you can apply for. And
Mhm.
it is definitely better to apply early than later. So I would recommend, like, as soon as you have, that urge, like, I need to make this next step, start getting it going. Update your resume, get your statement of purpose going. So that's one of the requirements. Is two of the requirements is providing a
Mhm.
resume, with in-depth experience, your education, so we can know a little bit about you, and then your statement of purpose, which is, kind of you saying, why I would like to pursue this program, how I would benefit, and how the program would benefit having you as a great candidate. So definitely recommend applying as soon as possible. So you never know what can happen. There could be a transcript that gets lost in the mail, lost in the ether, lost in the void, or a recommender. Something might happen to one of your recommenders where they're stuck on a mountain and they can't they can't provide your reference right now. So giving yourself a little bit of leeway and time is always beneficial, and it also benefits us as an administrator, as a processor of the applications. If you submit your application months in advance, you will be one of the first to know if you're getting into the program or not. And that's a boon. Like, that's very, very good. And it also secures your spot, depending on, the availability of the program and how many spots they have available. If you apply too late, unfortunately, you might not even be able to get reviewed because things have just moved too fast. They moved along, the time frame has kind of dried up.
I have a question about the international students and the GPA. Because obviously their grading systems might be different. So how does that work?
So how that works is we do a credential evaluation we basically translate the GPA. So we go on what specific country that degree or title was received, those marks were received, and we will quite literally translate to what that GPA standards are and translate it into UNR's GPA standards or the United States GPA standards.
So they don't have to, the international students don't have to do that themselves, ask one of those services. They can just submit their transcripts and you guys do that.
Correct. So we can do that. The only thing is, if the mark sheet or the transcripts are not in English, we will request a certified copy. So that's one caveat is, if they're not available in English, I only know English, so I wouldn't be able to read the transcript. So that is one request is if there is an official way to get your maybe your transcripts, if I know Ghana is one, their transcripts are already in English. So when it goes through that, it's smooth sailing for us. We'll look at the credential and the accrediting bodies of the country of origin, and we'll go from there. We'll look into the accreditation locally in the government in that country to make sure it's an accredited university, an accredited degree, just similar how we do here, making sure that everything's accredited and everything is in order for your admission.
Okay, so what happens if I have changed my mind and decide that I can't start right away? Can I defer the admission?
Yes. So this online program does offer deferrals, which is very, very beneficial to a lot of students, especially with international students. This program doesn't, since you don't have to be physically here in UNR in Reno. It's a little bit easier. If you're having a visa, we don't really have to have a lot of those considerations. But things happen. Things go awry, or if a student, this happens fairly often as well. If a student is currently completing a degree, let's say, they were admitted for fall, they were trying to get their degree, finished by then. Something happened, unfortunately, they would have to, postpone their graduation in their current program, but that doesn't mean they have to give up their spot for admissions into the online Masters of Accountancy. So, if they need to take one extra semester to complete their current degree before starting this one, we have an available spot for that. So we do have a process through our deferral form. So you can just submit that, and you can take up to generally one semester as a deferral, or with department approval, we can do 2.
Okay, so let's now go to the next one. The next, how do I apply? I think we talked a little bit about some of these things already, but maybe let's just go through the process. Like, how does it work? Is it online? And what kind of documents do I need? I think those are the most pressing questions.
Definitely. So the application is fully online. You can do everything. I believe the website is unr.force.edu or .com. I should I should know that.
Yeah, we'll put that somewhere. We'll put that somewhere in the notes. We'll put the websites
Awesome.
in the notes. Yeah, no
Awesome.
problem.
Yes. Yep. So there's an online application portal. Everything is online, and a few documents that you will need. We like to have the unofficial transcripts. So one great thing about the way we process applications is that we can do everything up to admissions with unofficial transcripts. So we can complete a credential evaluation. We can send your application to department review, all with unofficial documents. So when you're submitting your application, there will be several fields for you to provide those. And that cuts down a lot of processing time. So if you provide all of your unofficial transcripts, like right as you submit your application, that makes a lot of legwork streamlined. So instead of us having to look at your application and say, hey, we're missing a few things here, we'd have to reach out to you. You'd have to look at it.
Yeah.
You're busy. You're at work. You're doing this. Where things going on. If you provide those documents up front, we can have your application reviewed in a matter of days potentially. So a few other documents that you need is also the resume. So you need a resume. You also need a statement of purpose, and then you'll also need a couple of references, so letters of references. So in the application portal, there's a spot for you to put the information for your reference directly in the application. And then as soon as you do that, they'll be sent an email directly to upload the reference. And that makes things a little hands off for an applicant. They just have to set it up, and then their reference can do the rest. So sometimes though, those emails do get sent into spam folders. So that's one thing that references need to look out for. So just if you're setting up an application, let your reference know, hey, I'm submitting this application. Keep an eye on your email. Make sure you check that spam folder, and all of that stuff.
Who do I ask for my references? Like, what kind of people are good to ask?
So some good references for you is definitely professional. So an accountancy, it's a professional field. So anyone that you've had, supervisory experience with, a coworker in the field would be a great benefit to your application. And then there's also academic references. So either a previous professor would be a great, or maybe an advisor that had a great connection with and worked well with in your undergrad. So those are my recommendations. So professional, either supervisor or a coworker that you have great experience with, that you both have benefited from learning from each other, and kind of done good work together. And then the academics, so professors, advisors, academic mentors, things of that nature.
Okay. So obviously we already talked about that I can actually start the application if I don't have all the documents. So the answer to that is yes.
Yep.
But those official transcripts, I think that can be a kind of a hurdle, especially if you are not from the US or got some education from outside the United States. So how does that work? And what happens if I just can't get them? Is there any way around this?
So unfortunately, so official transcripts are needed 100%. So it just depends on when. So as I was saying with the review, so we can review an application with unofficial documents. However, once that admit decision has been posted, then we will need those official transcripts. So it kind of goes back to submitting your application early, especially for those international students out there. Things can take weeks, sometimes months to be received. So being proactive on that, giving yourself time. Maybe instead of applying for the most recent, the most upcoming semester, maybe give yourself an extra semester, and apply for fall rather than summer, or apply for spring rather than fall, just to give yourself a little bit of extra time. And if not, as mentioned before, we do have that deferral process. So if, let's say, you do submit, you're an international student, and unfortunately your institution hasn't been responding, or things got lost in the mail, or the many things that can happen, we can always have that deferral process to rely on, to give yourself a little extra time.
Okay.
So there will be a point where we do need those official transcripts. And there are a very few exceptions, especially when it comes to countries that are going through, political turmoil, specific, international relations issues, Ukraine, for example, Iran, for example. There are exceptions when it comes to students that are seeking refuge. Depending on the scenario and the situation, they might not literally they might not be able to retrieve any official documents. Their university is no longer here, or they're under lockdown. Things of that nature. There are pathways for that, but that generally does involve being physically in Reno. So there are pathways where if we can get the approval. If you have unofficial documents, there are pathways to basically say, look, my country of origin is in turmoil. I cannot retrieve these documents. There are pathways to kind of going
that's
around
good to know. Yeah.
Yes.
So now, important to know, how soon do I know if I'm accepted, and what happens afterwards, right? Who do I need to contact? That kind of question.
Definitely. So we process things quickly here. So as soon as we get an application, we will start reviewing, processing, doing your credential evaluation, and then sending it to the department. So it could be, if you apply to the program, it could be as little as maybe 2 weeks, maybe even less, depending on how fast things go.
That's
so
pretty
we
fast.
Yes, we like to, we get work done here. So we like to get things going, and we don't like having people wait too long. What happens after you're accepted? So once you are accepted, the department posts the decision. I process the decision. So I'm the person kind of behind the scenes that is pulling the strings on our software, getting things going on that way. So as soon as the department will post a decision, within 24 to 48 hours, I will post that decision. And once you have it, you'll get an email saying, hey, log into your application portal. You have some news. You go in there, and then you'll have to accept admissions. Or, if you don't want to, you don't have
to. But we want you to.
We would want you to. So when you do get that, you'll have a field to accept your offer. And that is a key step. So you have to accept the offer in order to be matriculated, in order to be put into your program. So that's one key thing that is required after a decision is made. So the job's not done once you post your, submit your application. You're on the hook for a little bit, where if you have that decision, you do have to respond. So and once you are admitted, if you have any questions, you can contact myself or Sonia, Dr. Pippin here, and we would be happy to help.
I'm there for you too.
Yes. Yep, and we're there. Like I said, I'm there every step of the way. So through admissions to graduation. So I would be a great point of contact, for anything kind of like behind the scenes, hey, I have a question on this form, or I have a question on graduation, how do I go about applying for graduation? I'll be there kind of every step of the way to help you and assist with that. So
now another question, of course, cost. Now, we're not going to talk about the cost of the program here right now. We can discuss that separately. Don't want to go into detail there, but everything's expensive, but we know that. And the question is there financial aid available? How much, and how do I get that?
Definitely. So financial aid is available. So generally with graduate students, and this is under just normal circumstances, there are certain levels to financial aid where you can get more and be qualified for receiving more aid. But generally for grad students, they get about $20,000. I believe it's about like $20,500.
Per year? Is that per year?
Yes, per year.
Okay.
And that is divided into 3 semesters. So since this program is fall, spring, and summer, it goes continuous. That $20,000 some odd dollars is divided into 3. So each semester you get about seven grand or so, and you can apply that to what you need. So financial aid and anything left over will generally go right into your bank account for you to utilize to get through your semester. So whether it's transportation, paying rent, things of that nature.
That stuff,
Yes, that kind of thing. Yes. So financial aid is available. Very, very helpful. And there are scholarships available too. So there's general scholarships that any graduate student can apply for under the sun. Whether it's for having brown hair or having
Yeah.
blue eyes, things of that nature. You can apply for stuff like that. And the university also has some forms of scholarships as well that you can apply to, that the program is able to receive. So we do have a financial aid website that you can navigate to, and it'll have a bunch of resources on there. How to apply
I'll post
using
that too.
FAFSA.
I will post that too, so we have that on
Yeah,
there. Yeah.
absolutely. And sorry, go ahead.
I just want to mention for the online program, unfortunately, there's no teaching or graduate assistantships for the online Master of Accountancy program for various reasons. Many of the students are not in town, so it kind of doesn't, and we don't really know where they're from, so it's kind of hard to do that. And then also, if you're a professional, you probably have a daytime job or at least something, so it would be hard to be a GA or a TA at this point. So at this point, there are none available, but financial aid and scholarships, that's good to know.
Definitely. And then on the financial aid and scholarships website, there is also an online appointment portal. So you do not have to be physically on campus to have an appointment with our financial aid office, which is awesome for our online students.
Yes, that's really good. Yes, thank you for pointing that out. Okay, what other questions do applicants have? Do you have any other things?
That is a good question.
Or the other question I had is like, how is it different for other programs? What's different there? What the main difference is in the application process?
In the application process, let's see. That's a good question. So
one for the life program, for right now at least, although that might change in the future, we still require the GMAT.
Yep,
for the,
that's what
for
I
the
was
life
just thinking.
program.
That's right.
That's not for the online program, but that can potentially change at some point down the road. We don't know that. But if you can't think of anything right now, well, there's the website that takes you to the grad school website.
I do have one kind of question that does come up every once in a while is, what are the courses like? So are they like, sometimes I get questions on like, are they asynchronous? Are they kind of like hey, every Tuesday at 3 p.m. we have a lecture. So I do get that question every now and again. And I'm not too sure of the classes. So Sonia would be better to answer that.
Yeah, so that's for the online program. They're all asynchronous, so no required class times, which is really, if you want to make a true online program, you really can't do that because you might have people from all over the world, for all I know. I mean, right now we don't, but what if somebody lives in the Middle East? I mean, how are you going to have a class time and on Tuesday at 3? That's not really going to work. So no, it's all asynchronous online,
good.
Which is, for a working professional, it's really the way to go, in my experience. Yep.
Absolutely.
Well, that's awesome. I think this was really helpful. Thank you so much, Daniel.
Of course.
Yeah, and our emails are on there, so if you have any questions, and I'll post a few more websites down in the comment section. And yeah, reach out if you have any more questions for the application process. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.